Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mina and this is my safe space on the internet. I hope you stick around for this video. As you can tell by the title, this video is going to be me trying to reset my reading motivation. I have been going through a really hard time. I'm basically reaching a reading slump. I feel myself getting there because I've been reading basically a book a day since I started this channel. I'm at 80 books as of right now when I'm filming this on my Goodreads challenge, which was 100 books, and we're only 5 months through the year. So I feel like I've been reading a book a day, something close to that line. And granted, some of them are like graphic novels or mangas or stuff like that, or audiobooks. So I'm not physically reading that many, but at the same time, I am reading like 10 plus books a month so far. And the fact that I'm almost at 100 books is insane to me, and I feel it because I feel like whenever I read now, I'm just skimming the pages, which is so disappointing because some of the books that I'm reading, I'm super excited for, but I just can't have the mental capacity to read them and finish them in the same day. So I usually I end up skimming or skipping over some parts, which I don't like. So this week is going to be me reading basically between 125 pages to 150 pages. Before I had this channel, I used to read like maximum of 150 pages a day, and that would be more than enough for me because at the job that I work at, I have a lot of downtime that I can sit and read. So I tend to read that much anyways. So I figured I might as well reset my reading motivation by reading the way that I used to before I had this channel. I love this channel. That's why I read so many books, is because I'm enjoying myself and I'm enjoying my time. Last year I read like 160 books and I didn't even have the channel until the end of the year. So that tends to be my speed. But there were some months of last year where I took a break and I didn't read for a little bit, but this year that hasn't happened. And so this is technically my break of me just reading however many pages I can fit in a day. And if 100 pages is all I can fit in a day, then that's fine. I'm not really putting any restrictions on myself. I'm just going to pick up a book and read between 100 and 150 pages a day for a week and see if I feel better about my reading situation by the end of the week. So let's find out if I do, because I'm interested in this as well. Another day, another video. Welcome back. It is Sunday. I already told you what we're going to be doing today, so there's really no need for me to yap even more about it than I already usually do, probably in the intro. We're gonna reset my reading motivation, I guess, because I feel like I'm hitting a wall when it comes to reading, and I feel like I need a breather. Let's start the video. We're starting with the first book of this video, and it is Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is the author of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and also Carrie Soto is Back, Forever Interrupted. There's so many books, and I remember exactly when I added this into my TBR because I remember reading Forever Interrupted and being like, this book is everything I've ever wanted and more. And so I added all of Taylor Jenkins Reid books into my TBR on Goodreads. And now I'm working my way through them. I've read a lot of her works, so this is one of the ones that I haven't read. I don't know what this book is about, but all I know is that I enjoy Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing and I feel like I wanted to continue. This one is 333 pages, I believe. And yeah, I don't know how much I'm gonna read today. It all depends on how I feel. I might read 125 pages. I might read 150 pages. We'll know. But my goal for this week is to not worry about how many books I'm going to finish, because that is usually something that I really struggle with. I like seeing numbers and I like when the funny number goes up. So as long as I don't worry about how many books I finish and I don't push myself to finish this book within a day or like with the rest of the week, then that will be fine. I just want to get back into loving reading instead of it feeling like a chore. Let's get started. I'm very excited because I love Taylor Jenkins Reid and usually her books are very easy to get through. Still Sunday, and I read my pages for the day of Maybe in Another Life. I read to page 131 because page 125 ended in the middle of a chapter and I just wanted to keep going, so I kept going until page 130, which is great because that's in the range from between 125 to 150. And I probably would have read more today because this book is really, really easy to read, but I just didn't end up having the time to do that because I was very, very busy today. It was one of my busier days. I would have read a lot more had I had the time because this book is very, very interesting. This book follows this girl. Her name is Hannah, and we open the book with her moving back from New York to LA, and it literally opens with her being on the flight from New York to LA, and she was born in LA, she lived in LA until she was 18, and then she moved, and she's been moving around everywhere this entire time, but she doesn't feel like she's home. She hasn't found her home. She's 29 years old and she feels a little bit lost, so her friend tells her to go back and move to LA because maybe that's the place that she's been missing. And that very same night that she moves back, she sees this guy who she used to have a thing with when they were younger, before they went into college, and he was like the love of her life, and his name is Ethan. And at the end of the first night of her being back in LA, her friends throw her this party for her being back in LA. Ethan shows up. And at the end of the night, she basically has to make this choice whether to stay with Ethan for a little bit longer or whether to leave with her friends, because she's staying with her friends for the time being while she finds an apartment. And then the book splits into two different timelines, one where she chose to stay with Ethan and one where she decided to leave and go back home. It's very, very entertaining. It's very interesting. I've never read a book like this. I've never read a book where we follow the two different decisions or the two different timelines, basically the alternate realities of what could happen depending on your choice. So I understand now why the title is what it is, because it basically shows you that each decision you make can basically take you in a different way, in a different path of life. This book is very easy to read. It's very typically Taylor Jenkins Reid in the best way, because it reads quickly and the banter is great and the setting is great, the friends are great. It's very, it makes you think, which is really, really great because I love books that make me think, and I love this book and I love Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think this is gonna be a highly rated book from me. I don't think that it will beat Forever Interrupted or The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but it's pretty close up there because I'm enjoying the characters, and as a person who is almost 27 and feels like they're a little bit lost in their life and they don't know what to do, reading about a 29-year-old who's kind of going through the same thing is a little bit comforting, and I'm finding a lot of comfort in this character. Hannah is one of the most interesting people that I've ever read about, and I love Ethan and I love her friends, and yeah, I'm enjoying myself. 130 pages in. I don't know that I will finish it tomorrow because if I read 125 pages, that will take me to 250, which, like I said, I'm not really stressing about finishing a book really quickly. I will probably end up finishing it Tuesday, which I'm not really mad about because I feel like I really want to digest this book. Hey you guys, welcome back. It is Monday. It is the second day of the week where I try to reset my reading motivation. As Miss Normani said, I'm gonna give you some motivation. I obviously am still reading Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am now officially 277 pages in. I read 150 pages today, which would have led me to 275, but obviously because 275 was in the middle of a chapter, I finished the chapter, which just happened to be one page more, and then this is how much I have left. This is how much I've read. I'm really, really enjoying the story. I'm having a good time with this. This book is very, very entertaining because you get to see the consequences of each decision that the main character could possibly make. And I'm really interested to see in the ending if they will take you back to the night where she had to make that decision, and maybe they'll leave it on a cliffhanger and we don't know which choice she makes. But it's so interesting to see that no matter what choice she would have made, some things would have still happened, just happened in a different way or come about in a different action. And it's really, really fascinating to see. The story is really written very well, and I think the characters are so fleshed out and so human and so real, which is always the usual with Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think she has some of the most three-dimensional characters that I've ever read about, and I really enjoy her writing. I really enjoy the way that she crafts a story. I think she writes scenes that are very well thought out and that are very well that flow together very well. The story makes sense. You really feel for the characters and you get attached to them very, very quickly. I feel the same way for this as I felt for Forever Interrupted, although Forever Interrupted I loved a lot more than I'm loving this one, but this one is still very entertaining, very thought-provoking. I am enjoying myself with it. That's why I read 150 pages today instead of the 125, and I obviously will be able to finish this tomorrow because this book is 333 pages, and that's not the 125 or 150. I will end up picking up a second book tomorrow after I finish this one so I can meet the page count for the day. I don't know which book I'm going to read next, to be honest. I'm not really sure. I think it will probably be a Lynn Painter book because there's one that I'm really interested in right now, but I have a couple more that I'm really excited that are on my TBR. I have some of the best books lined up for my TBR for this week, and I really want to read through them very, very quickly, but I'm taking my time so I don't end up suffering a reading slump or skimming for most of the pages because I just want to finish the amount of books that I usually finish in a month. The characters are so authentic and they feel very real and they feel like people I know, and the stories always end up sticking in my head, and I really like that about Taylor Jenkins Reid and her writing. And so, wow, I egged too close to the sun just there. That's all I have to say today. I will see you tomorrow for the third day when I pick up another book and I finish this one. Today is Tuesday, and as you guys saw, I spent my entire morning, or I spent most of my morning really reading Maybe in Another Life, and I finished this book. I gave it 3.75 stars. I'm stuck between 3.5 and 3.75 stars. I don't really know what to rate it because I didn't love it as much as I usually love all of the other Taylor Jenkins Reid's books that I've read. This one was okay. It wasn't really anything special, to be honest. You wouldn't be missing out anything if you don't read this. It's not my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid work by any stretch of the imagination. I had a good time reading it, but it's not, I don't like the way that it ended. I don't, because I feel like she gave us, like, obviously, as I said, it's basically following two different parallel universes where the character makes one decision and the character makes another decision in a different universe. I don't like the way that it happened in the end because you get two different stories of the character, and I didn't like one of them, to be honest. I would have loved if she just made it feel like, oh, whichever choice you make will lead you to the same exact spot. I feel like that would have made me happier than the way that this ended. This ended in a very interesting way. I just don't like the way that this ended, and I feel like for that reason alone, I don't feel like I can give it 4 stars, but 3.75 stars is really not all that bad. It was okay. Not my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid work, but you know, it's not the worst either. So to finish this book, I read 58 pages because I had 58 pages left. I was on 275 and I finished on page 333. So yeah, like I said, that was 58 pages, which means I have to start a new book and read at least 67 pages of it, and that would put me at 125 pages for the day. And the book that I'm starting next is going to be Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. In one of my other videos, I read the companion novel to this book, and that was The Love Wager, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving that one 5 stars. I had the best time. It was like a rom-com in a book, and I ended up really loving it to the point where I wanted to read this book after it, even though I already know what happens in the second book and what happens to these characters in the second book. The second book's setting is following these two characters as well. Like, something happens to these two characters that we follow in the second book that has the characters from the other book meeting, and I really enjoyed that book. And so obviously, because I knew the way this couple ends up, that kind of ruins it for me, but I wanted to pick this book up. Basically, this book is about this girl who gets a text from a random number that she doesn't have saved and that she doesn't know. That's why it's called Mr. Wrong Number, because he texts her by accident, and they go from there, but he doesn't know that she's his best friend's sister who just moved in with them, became their roommate because she has a lot of stuff going on wrong with her life. Her boyfriend just cheated on her and dumped her, and she's going through a lot, and she set her building on fire, burning his love letters, and so she has to move in with her brother, and he's her brother's roommate and best friend, and he texts her by accident. He doesn't know that she's the one he's texting. She doesn't know that he's the one that he's texting. And I really, really love Lynn Painter. I love her books. I love her banter. I love the way that she writes a scene, and I'm excited to pick this book up. I am going to read at least 67 pages of this today to reach the 125 goal for the day. Honestly, I might just read a little bit past it because knowing me and knowing Lynn Painter, I'm going to really, really enjoy the book. So at least 67 pages, but we're gonna go from there. We'll see if I feel like reading a little bit more. Obviously, it is still the same day. It is nighttime, and I have officially started Mr. Wrong Number. As you guys saw, I was supposed to read to page 67, and that would have met my goal for the 125 pages. But instead, I read to page 81, and I'm on chapter 5. And really, if I wanted to read 150 pages, I would have to stop at 92 pages. But I think that ends in the middle of a chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I just stopped here because it's been a very long day and I wanted to stop right here. This book is very easy to read. Like I said, with every other Lynn Painter book, they feel like a rom-com happening in front of your eyes. I do like to marathon Lynn Painter's books. I like to read them all in one go. I don't like to like split them up over a few days, but that's what I'm doing with this one, and I'm really taking my time with it. I don't think I like this as much as I like The Love Wager. I think The Love Wager is probably my favorite in this duology, but that's probably because I just started this. Like I said, I'm only 80 pages in. I'm not even 100 pages in, and this book is very easy to read. There's a lot of banter happening and a lot of texting back and forth between the characters, because obviously it's about somebody texting the wrong number, and so those texts are very, very easy to read, very easy to get through the pages while you read those. And they just found out that I guess the guy just found out that he's texting his best friend's sister. So I think it's about to get interesting starting tomorrow. But yeah, as of right now, I'm really enjoying myself with this book. I'm really enjoying my time. Lynn Painter knows how to write dialogue. She knows how to write banter. She knows how to write a scene and really, really interesting and entertaining characters and really entertaining scenes. And yeah, I'm excited to get into this tomorrow to see where it goes now that the guy knows that he's texting his best friend's sister. That's really gonna be so fun. I read some more of Mr. Wrong Number. Obviously, I didn't film myself reading it because I read it at work. I did get to page 205, which is 125 pages from the page that I stopped at yesterday, which I believe was page 80. Yeah, so I was at page 80 this morning when I first started reading, and then I read until page 205, which is 125 pages, and I am enjoying this so much. This is so easy to read that I really was going to finish this entire thing in one sitting today. And I would have. If it hadn't been for this video where I'm resetting my reading motivation, I would have finished this in one day because it's so easy to read. That tends to happen with Lynn Painter's books. I usually read them all in one sitting in one day because they're just so easy to read. And a lot of this is just text between the characters. So, you know, like it's really easy to read because you're just reading small sections of writing, and I really, really like the banter between the two characters. I am enjoying myself so much. I love Colin and I love Olivia, and every time I read her name, I just remember the One Direction song. Anybody else? Like, I can't say the word Olivia without thinking of the chorus of that song. It's really a curse, but you know, it could be worse. I think I might read another 25 pages today and just do the 150 pages because I really want to know where this is going, and I'm a little bit over halfway, and I feel like I really want to finish this tomorrow because I cannot simply wait to know. Like, I need Olivia to find out that she's texting Colin. I need her to find out, and I need to see it happen, you know? I think their chemistry is incredible. Lynn Painter really knows how to write banter, and I really tend to enjoy her adult romances. I know her young adult romances are really popular, but I really love her her adult romances, and I think they're some of her best work. Like I said, I loved The Love Wager, and I gave it 5 stars, and I think this one is pretty much going to be high rated as well because I'm really enjoying my time with it. It's reading really quickly. I love the characters. I love how funny they are. I love how they communicate. I love their banter. I just love being in this world, and I'm really gonna miss it once it's over. This book is 324 pages. If I read another 25 pages and I'm on page 205, then that will be 230. I'll be at page 230. Say it ends in the middle of a chapter. Say I stop at 235. 335, yeah. I would finish this book. If I read another 25 pages today, then it's a guarantee that I'll probably finish this book tomorrow, and I kind of want to do that. Because the book I'm starting after this one, I've been meaning to start for a very long time, and I'm very excited about it, and I really want to get to it, so. Okay, so this is a different angle. Do we like it? Do we not like it? I don't know. So, as you guys saw, I did end up reading a little bit more. I read the 25 pages. I'm on page 232 now. And I believe that puts me probably at 80%. I want to say this book is 300. This book is 324 pages. I'm on 232. So I have less than 100 pages left, and I will probably start the 3rd book of this week tomorrow after I finish this book. I'm enjoying myself so much. I really love Lynn Painter's writing. I think she is one of the most entertaining authors to read. Her books are always so very entertaining, and the banter is really fun to read. There's like friendship and love, and it's not just like centered on the romance in the book. Liv, the main character in this book, is also dealing with like issues with work and being unemployed and kind of like having a hard time with her family because obviously she's kind of like a failure and she's just gotten dumped and she lost her job. And yeah, I think it's very fun. I'm really enjoying my time reading this book. I hate that this book is so damaged. This is obviously a library copy. I hate that it's so damaged. And on the back too, like, guys, where's the decorum? It matches my water bottle though. That's funny. I'm used to finishing like between 3 and 5 books a week, and it's really interesting and really fun to get back into just reading because I want to read versus reading because I feel like I need to have a certain amount of books at the end of a video, you know? And yeah, I'm really enjoying this book. I'll see you tomorrow when we finish this book, and obviously tomorrow's Thursday, so I'm not really sure how many days this video is going to span over because typically I don't read on the weekend, but we'll see once we get there, I guess. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, and I have officially finished Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter, and I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed myself. Actually, the last however many pages I had left after yesterday were so fun to read today that I actually felt like I wanted more. Like the prologue came out of nowhere and I wasn't ready for it because I was like, I'm not finished. Like I still want to read a little bit more. Let's calculate how many pages we read. This book is 324 pages and then we're gonna minus. I started at 232. So I read 92 pages of this, and that was most of the pages that I had to read today. I finished this very, very quickly. I read it within less than an hour just because I was enjoying the story so much. I'm definitely going to miss being in this world. I definitely recommend reading this one and then reading The Love Wager, even though I much preferred The Love Wager. I do think it would have been fun to read The Love Wager after reading this one because you kind of follow the couple from this one in The Love Wager as well, and the couple of that book as well. And I really enjoyed that book without even knowing the backstory of this book, but I still had a blast. I had a blast reading this book. I think at this point I've read a lot, if not most, of Lynn Painter's works. I haven't read the sequel to Not Like the Movies, but I think that's it. I don't think there's other books of hers that I haven't read yet because I enjoy her writing so much. I definitely recommend. I love her adult romances. I'm not even mad that I enjoy her adult romances more than I enjoy her young adult romances. I think you either love her adult romances or you love her young adult romances, but either one is just as good as the other, and I enjoy both very much. And I think Lynn Painter is slowly becoming one of my favorite authors. And I will say that with my whole chest because she is that girl. With that being said, I actually had some more pages to finish today, which I started Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. And this book basically follows this girl who is a wedding planner and her ex-boyfriend who is a florist, and he hates weddings and she loves weddings, and they have to work together to plan this wedding. And I guess it's a second chance romance. To finish the 125 page count for today, I would have to read to page 33, and I already did that, and I feel like I'm going to read a little bit more just because I'm really enjoying this. This is very well written already, and it's made me laugh a couple of times. I don't know how I feel about Amma, the main girl, yet, just because I don't know, like her voice is still a little bit unsure, for me at least. I still don't know how I feel about her because I don't know her as a character yet, and I'm really excited because look at the guy. He has like a sleeve and a bun, and this is just giving Wattpad. It's giving the bad boy and the good girl, and his dad just passed away, so he's taken over the florist business from his father, even though he wanted to be like an engineer, architect, or something like that. I'm not really sure. I don't remember, but I'm really enjoying this one. Actually, me and this girl, we graduated on the same year. We had the same graduation year from high school, which is 2015. And that's crazy to me because when I read it, I was like, oh my God, I'm reading about a girl who's literally my age. We're literally the same age. That's insane. But yeah, she loves weddings. She plans weddings, and then she gets like recruited to plan this very big influencer's wedding who has like millions and millions of followers. And she just left like a big wedding planning agency to open her own business. For her to take this opportunity is a very big deal, and she almost doesn't take it because she doesn't want to work with him, even though he's the one that the influencer chose because his mother is a close friend of the influencer, and so they choose him to do the florals, and now they have to work together even though something happened between them and they broke up. There's two separate timelines. We follow the present when they're planning the wedding, and then we follow like 5 years ago when they just met and got to know each other. I'm 33 pages in. I'm enjoying myself so much. I love this cover, love the flowers. It's giving Wattpad, it's giving fanfic, it's giving all of the good feels and more. He gives off kind of Harry Styles vibes with the bun, and also like anime characters like Eren Yeager and whatnot from Attack on Titan. If you watch that, I'll probably read a little bit more today just because I really want to get further into it tomorrow. And this book is 330 pages. Like I said, I don't know how far I'll get into it today. I'll probably do the 150 pages instead of the 125, and we'll go from there, and then I'll pick it up tomorrow. And yeah, I'm really enjoying myself with this book. So if I read 150 pages today instead of the 125, that would put me at 58 pages, I believe, of Forget Me Not. and I am now on page 58 exactly. It ends at the end of the chapter, so I've stopped there. This is where I'm stopping for the day because I don't want to go any further, because I feel like then I'm gonna start getting overwhelmed and just reading to skim, and I don't want to do that. Like, obviously this week has been for me to reset my reading motivation, and I feel like it's worked, but I'll tell you all about that once I do the wrap up. But as of right now, that's it for the day. I'm on page 58, technically 59 because that's when the chapter starts. I'm really enjoying myself with this book. I feel like there's going to be a lot that happens, and I feel like this is going to be a lot deeper than just a wedding planning book, because there's already so much happening between the main character and the old manager of the character. Like, the woman that Amma used to work for is like this like low-key sneaky evil type of woman. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. I'm really excited to know what happened between Amma and Elliot, so I'm excited to get to that, and I'll probably end up reading like 150 pages again tomorrow, but we'll see. Friday, and today I spent all of my pages reading Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, and I am enjoying myself so much with this book. I obviously am not going to get to finish it because today is the last day and I've already done my reading. I'm on page 205, and had I read the 150 pages, I would have ended up at 208, but because obviously 208 is in the middle of a chapter, I decided to stop at 205, which is the end of a chapter and the start of another chapter. This is how far in I am. Let's see how far. According to Goodreads, I believe I'm 60% in. I'm 60% in through this book. I'm not gonna get to finish it for this video, which sucks, but I will do my wrap up later. This is the last day. I've already done my pages. I'm enjoying myself so much. I think probably as of right now, it's at 4 stars, maybe 4.25, depending on how it ends. I am probably gonna finish it maybe tomorrow or the day after. I really enjoyed my time with this book. I enjoyed the characters. Amma is the cutest ever. Elliot is that, I love it. I love it so much. It is a second chance romance. They had like this friends with benefits before they became kind of a little bit more, and then something happens between them. I still don't know what happened between them, to be honest. Like I said, I'm 60% in. They're still like 40%. They're still 40%. This book's 330 pages, and I'm not even 100 away. I have more than 100 pages left until the end, so I'm not going to get to finish it for this video, which sucks because I would have loved to say that I finished 3 books for this video, but obviously this book was meant for me to restart my motivation, and I will talk to you about how that went in the outro. This cover is one of my favorite covers of all time. I love this book. I'm enjoying my time with it, and I'll definitely finish it, and I am sad that I won't get to tell you how I feel about it, but I'm enjoying it, and I definitely recommend it from what I've read so far. That is it for this video, you guys. Let's rewind and talk about what I read for this week. So I read Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I gave, I want to say 3.75 stars to 4 stars, because it's very forgettable, even though I really, really enjoy Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. This is one of her least memorable stories and characters, in my personal opinion. Then we have Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter, and I gave this one 4.25 stars. I really, really enjoyed this book. I loved the characters. I love this whole universe with the Love Wager as well. I really, really loved the Love Wager a lot more than I loved this one, but this one was very, very fun to read. Lynn Painter knows how to write a rom-com. If you ever feel like reading a rom-com, or like instead of watching a rom-com, you want to read a rom-com, then I definitely recommend Lynn Painter. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to write banter and chemistry and characters and scenes that will just get you going. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this book, and I gave it 4.25 stars. And then I didn't get to finish Forget Me Not by Julie Soto in this video, but I did finish it after finishing this video, and I gave it 4.5 stars. I really, really had the best time reading this book. This book is the one thing that I recommend reading. I mean, all of these books were really great, but if you can only read one book out of them, I definitely recommend this this one, I loved it. The chemistry, the angst, the yearning, the pain, the suffering, I just loved all of it. This is a second chance romance and I really ate this up. This is one of the very few second chance romances that I've ever read. I don't typically tend to go towards that trope, but this one ate it up. It gave everything. I mean, look at the cover by itself. It's amazing. I wish I could erase it from my brain and like read it for the first time again. So if you're reading this for the first time, I am so incredibly jealous of you. I hope you know how good you have it because this book was so fun to read. It was like a Wattpad fic, but in the best way possible. That is it for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had the best time watching it because I had the best time finally resetting my reading motivation. I feel like I'm really there. I'm in the mood to read everything and just read everything right now. I am in the mood. I am back into it. I reached 90 books actually so far this year by finishing this week, and I'm so excited to be almost at my Goodreads goal, which is 100 books already, and we're not even halfway through the year. I had the best time this week, and let me know if you've read any of these books, what your opinions are on any of these books. If you have read them, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have the very best day. Treat yourself to something nice, and I'll see you guys again next week with another video. Goodbye!